Help! And she's gone. Hi everybody, it's Brittany, and today I am going to be continuing on the color series. Today we are doing yellow, and just as a disclaimer, like I've said before, color is subjective. Everybody sees color differently, so while this series you might be thinking, well, this is a yellow and you have that in your collection because you've seen it in my collection, it might not be yellow to me, because when we get into the oranges and yellows, a lot of the times it gets a little confusing because you have golds, and I am trying not to include golds in here. So, alright, first I'm going to start off. I do have this time two shades that appear to be more of a yellow with glitter in them. So I'm going to start off with those only because then I can from there determine if it's more matte or more of a shimmer shade. Most of the time they're mattes with just a little bit of glitter in them. I'll start by swatching those two. Alright, so these are the first two colors that I have, and they're actually slightly conflicting because one is a matte and the other one is a shimmer, even though they're both yellow with glitter. So I'm just going to do these two separately. The first shade that we have here is Yellow from the Saucebox Temptation palette, and the second shade we have is Ball Gown from A Tale as Old as Time, which was a Disney and Hot Topic collaboration. Now, both of these seem to swatch nicely. Neither of them were too powdery. I did find that out of both of these that the Saucebox one was a little bit more powdery, but then again, this one was also a matte as opposed to the other one, which was a shimmer. So mattes tend to be a little bit more powdery than shimmers. And this is what they look like. Nothing too amazing, but these are really good shades. They show up on my skin. I am pale though, so yellows tend to show up more opaque on my skin tone. Alright, moving on, I am now going to be swatching all of the matte yellows that are in my collection. I'm going to say this right now, I really, looking around from what I have in front of me, I don't really have a lot of yellows, so this one will probably be a pretty short video. I have mostly mattes and only a few yellows in the shimmer form. These are all the swatches of the matte shades that I have. Starting off, we have this shade here, which is Honey Buns from the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Honey palette. The second shade we have here is Colourpop's Tiki. The third shade we have is Buttercupcake by Sugarpill. The fourth shade is Neon from the Melt Stack Radioactive stack. This one right here is from the Coral Obsessions by Huda Beauty, and this one is from the Electric palette by Huda Beauty. This one right here is the color from the Club to Death palette. It's just the yellow. They don't have shade names. This one is just the yellow. It's neon yellow. And the last shade we have here is Memories of Space, which is from the Mac and Jeremy Scott palette. And in case you're wondering, yes, I really did swatch it. You just can't see it very well. It's there. It's just not very good. Alright, out of all of these, I'm finding that I really do like this one and this one, which is no surprise because these are the shades that I would gravitate towards if I was using a yellow. And this is the Sugarpill one and the Melt one. These swatch beautifully. I will say that the Melt one is, well, I would say that they're actually equally as powdery when it comes to how they do, but the Melt, or how they perform, but the Melt one is messier. But Melt stacks are messy. It's just the way they are. And this neon one here surprisingly really did show up, but again, doesn't show up well, and I don't think that if I were to do brush swatches that it would translate at all. I do have a review on this palette. I'm not sure if I did brush swatches of this shade, but I will say that the neons did not perform very well. Those two are my favorite, and I really can't decide between the two. And if you look at them, they're both extremely similar in tone. So to me, if I were in the Radioactive melt stack, I would just use the yellow that was in there. And if I was using the Sugarpill palettes, because I have the Addicted to Pretty, which one is this one? Burning Heart palette, I would just grab this one. There would be no grabbing one over the other, because to me they both perform equally. And these two, I feel like this one, and this one are more along the lines of a dandelion shade. So these ones have a deeper tone, and out of those I would probably say this one, which is the Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions one, this one would probably be the one out of these dandelion shades that I would pick. The next few that I'm going to swatch, when I say few, I really mean few, are going to be the shimmery shades. And like I said before, this is when things get a little bit tricky, because I'm trying not to get golds in here, just shimmery yellows. So keep that in mind, please. As you can tell, I only have 4 shimmery shades, and 2 of these are gold to me. One of them, I knew it was more of a gold color, but I picked it anyway. And as soon as I touched the other one, I knew it was a gold color. They're gold. I don't know why I picked them up. Probably because I just wanted to have more yellows. But these are definitely gold, so I apologize. The first shade here, though, is from the Marc Jacobs Siren palette, so it would be Siren number 4. And the reason that I used this one was because this one is actually from a newer Marc Jacobs palette. This one is from the Editorial, and it is in the shade Pleather Python. So as you can see, because I have mentioned this a couple of times, that this Siren palette is an older palette. It's more of a collector's item. It doesn't perform very well, but it's not because Marc Jacobs isn't a good brand. You can see that the difference between the swatches, even if I come up closer, you can see the difference between them, and that is because, first of all, this is an older palette. We're talking 2014 time period, and this one is more of a recent palette. And not only does formula improve over the years, but this formula is also older. So as it gets older, it starts to degrade, and it isn't as good as it used to be. So that is why I decided to swatch this one, because I wanted you to see the difference and know that when I say that, yes, these are, I'm including them within the color series. Yes, it's Marc Jacobs, which is an expensive brand. The performance that you see when I swatch these isn't because the Marc Jacobs line doesn't perform well. It's just an older palette. This one here is from the Lime Crime Pocket Candy palette, and this is the Lemonade, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the pink lemonade, and this is actually the shade Lemonade. And this one, I feel like, other than the Marc Jacobs one, this one is actually a true shimmery yellow. And then the last one is, again, another gold, so you can disregard it altogether if you want. But this is the color Twisted from the Heavy Metals palette by Urban Decay, which is the palette I can never remember. This one. I can never remember the name, but I've started doing tags, so I remember. I looked it up. It's the Heavy Metals palette, in case you were wondering. Because there's like 3 or 4 videos where I'm like, I have no idea. It's just a palette. Because they don't have it written anywhere, which is ridiculous. But yes, out of all of these, I would have to say that Lemonade is my favorite, only because it is the only one next to the Marc Jacobs one that is an actual true yellow shimmer. So yeah, that is this. In conclusion, I guess that what I have learned from the yellow color series is that I don't have a lot of yellows. And that's sad, because yellow is my favorite color. Why don't I have more yellows? Maybe it's because I can't really find a lot of yellows. I don't think that's true. I think there's yellows. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back for more. I love you all, you beautiful unicorns. Bye. I am a glitter mess, and I look like I just stuck my hands in something gross because they're all yellow.